This interview will consist of views and implications regarding the Tex-Mex language. Today we have Ms. Barbara Gennaway, a former Spanish teacher. Can you give us some background of your experience regarding the Spanish language?
Certainly. I grew up in Corpus Christi in a part of town where I frequently heard Tex-Mex being used. In fact, it was every day in my parents' grocery store. And then from there, I also taught in Corpus Christi. Taught 28 years at the same school and had a total of 32 years of teaching. Enjoyed it very much. I also lived in San Luis Potosí for 4 years, and I taught English there.
So you were able to hear the correct Spanish spoken?
Definitely, yes. That's where I think I learned a great deal by being there continuously for 4 years and learning correct Spanish, hearing it all the time, and yeah, it was just a wonderful time.
Number 2, what were some of the challenges you noticed when teaching the standard curriculum Spanish to students who were immersed in the Tex-Mex language or who heard and spoke this language at home?
Well, one of the challenges was getting them to spell correctly instead of just spelling phonetically. They wanted to spell everything just the way it sounds, as people frequently do in Spanish. Another was having them not use Tex-Mex words that are as opposed to correct Spanish. They would frequently use words like troca instead of saying camión, camioneta, or bus instead of using autobús or camión, carro instead of automóvil, those kinds of words.
Number 3, what were cultural customs that were frequently discussed in the classroom?
One of the ones that I remember bringing up almost every year was the ojo. And students would say, people come up to me in the grocery store and they want to touch my hair, my eyes, and they didn't always understand what that meant. And even some of the students that were Hispanic born here, and so I would have to explain about the ojo and how they just want to cancel anything bad that could happen to them when people were admiring their hair, their eyes, or anything about them. Another example was personal space. Americans and people born here in the United States frequently leave a lot more space between them and other people that are near them, even when you're just conversing with someone, whereas people in Hispanic countries and even people that have a Hispanic background are frequently touch the people near them and sit closer to them, and it's just a little bit different.
Number 4, can you give examples of language differences in the standard curriculum Spanish versus the Tex-Mex language?
Yes. One of the most important is using the tú and the usted form. Frequently, students that are brought up with Tex-Mex don't really know the difference, and they often just use tú for everyone, whereas in Spanish from Mexico or Castilian Spanish, the usted form is very, very important. So you have to explain the difference. And then, of course, since we don't have that in English, we don't have the tú and the usted form. We only have one form, which is you. It was difficult for them to understand that. Also, the importance of addressing older people using the usted form was very, very important and very different for them.
Number 5, what do you think the percentage is currently of the Tex-Mex speakers in Texas?
It's hard to say, but I would say currently, probably about 75% of people born or living in Texas use Tex-Mex. It's very, very common. And they will notice if you're using Castilian Spanish or Spanish from Mexico. They'll note the difference and maybe not even understand all of the words, and vice versa.
And then that's why this language is considered pretty much very alive today, because it's utilized on a daily basis.
Definitely.
The last question: how important is your own language for you, and why is it important?
You mean my own language as in Spanish?
Yes.
Using Spanish? Personally, I love Spanish. I love foreign languages, but having spent time in Mexico and having been brought up around Spanish also, it's just always been a joy to be able to express myself in Spanish and to totally understand when somebody's speaking, even if they're not speaking to me, and to be able to watch movies and other shows in Spanish and enjoy them and understand the comedy or the drama or whatever's going on. Yeah, I just have always enjoyed it so much.
And
I
it's
love
like
Spanish.
having like two different cultures in one. And
Definitely, yeah. It's yeah,
being
two
able to
worlds.
compare them and being able to be part of both.
Right, to be part of both, exactly.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time, and we appreciate you making time to discuss this Tex-Mex language, which we are trying to keep alive. And thank you so much.
You're very welcome.